Ushio should have watched Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and he would have learned that Yoda said, fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering, and a small amount of getting your ass kicked by a giant primordial demon known as the Hakumen no Mono. This week's episode was so frickin' metal. The Hakumen no Mono is so damned evil, and it loves being evil. Not to mention, we finally got to see some of its raw power in this episode, which honestly is on, like, Naruto scale. Like, it totally reminds me of Kurama the Nine-Tailed Fox. Not just in its appearance, but the fact that it can actually destroy entire landscapes with the massive beam blasts that it shoots from its mouth. As if that's not cool enough, all of its tails can actually transform into the demons that we've previously seen in the series. All the ones that Ushio has defeated, and they have literally come back from the dead for revenge. And the look of them actually coming out of the tails of Hakumen no Mono is just disturbing. And speaking of disturbing, this week's episode really takes the cake. There's this scene where an entire island is just completely destroyed by Hakumen no Mono, and they make it very clear that there are people living on this island, and even elementary school students, and they all just get completely obliterated in one blast from the Hakumen no Mono. And to make matters much worse, you have Ushio, who in this week's episode just, for lack of a better word, he loses his shit. He just realizes that none of his friends remember him anymore, everyone that he cares about is dying, and even his mother just slapped him in the face to try and knock some sense into him, but that was the straw that broke the camel's back. At this point, Ushio just gets super pissed off, takes the beast spear, explodes out of this pillar, and starts to fight against the Hakumen no Mono. The problem is, according to his mother, Jime, and everybody else who's involved with the Kohamai sect, you can't defeat hatred with hatred. And even after jamming the beast spear right into the face of the Hakumen no Mono, it doesn't work. In fact, the spear actually ends up shattering, and Ushio ends up getting defeated with one slap of Hakumen no Mono's tail, which looked super freaking painful. You know that scene in Titanic when those giant freaking like smoke towers fall into the water onto the people? It's like that times 10. Ushio just gets the crap smacked out of him and ends up falling down into the ocean, drowning. Could this be the end of Ushio and Tora? Probably not. We'll find out in next week's episode. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Ushio and Tora? Ushio had one hell of a bad week this week. Being confronted with all of the enemies that he seemingly defeated, being smacked by his mother, and not only that, but learning that Tora actually killed Akiba Nagare. Even though I don't feel that's truly how the events went down, Tora wastes no time in letting him know this, and he even tries to snap him out of this funk. He should have told him that really there was nothing that could have changed from this battle, there was nothing that could have been done. Either way, it was going to involve his death, but Ushio was in just such an extreme state of rage. Not to mention the frickin' beast spear is talking to him and trying to influencing him and making him even more angrier, which could possibly turn him into an Azafuze just like Tora. The problem is he's so blinded by rage that this is actually powering up the Hakumen no Mono, who throughout the course of the episode just has the biggest shit-eating grin on his face the entire time, totally immersed in all of the destruction and pure revelry that it is bringing upon mankind. Speaking of which, it actually allows mankind to see it. You see, there's this news helicopter that starts to film it, and everyone in the world starts to see this thing, and they're of course all freaked out. I mean, what would you react to if you saw a monster like that could destroy islands with one blast? And the people's fear is amplifying the power of the Hakumen no Mono. So I'm going to be really interested to see how Ushio is going to be pulled out of his funk. Maybe we'll get to see the return of that one water demon. Maybe Tora's going to dive down to the bottom of the ocean and bring him right back. All I know is the Hakumen no Mono is here, and it's just barely being held by a barrier which has been created by Jime, Inoue, and not to mention Ushio's mother. But I have a feeling that thing's gonna break out, and then we're just gonna have this big, epic, ridiculous final battle with all the humans, all the yokai, going up against Hakumen no Mono, and hopefully Ushio being able to take this thing down. That being said, I still want to learn a little bit more about the Hakumen no Mono, like where it came from, what its true origin origins are, and what sort of connection it actually does have to Tora. Something that was hinted at in this episode, especially in the big battle that happened all those 800 years ago. What I will say is this was an action-packed and slightly heartbreaking episode of Ushio and Tora, as you really do sympathize with Ushio and all the things that he's going through, and you want him to calm down, but at the same time you also want him to kick ass. It's very conflicting. I guess he's going to have to kill the Hakumen no Mono with the power of friendship and love. Just like the trolls from Ernest Scared Stupid. So, this was a great episode right here. I cannot believe I just made a reference to a frickin' Ernest movie. Whatever. The point is, this was a great episode. It's a great build-up as we get even closer to the finale of Ushio and Tora. So make sure to check it out, action anime fans. You're definitely going to see something you like. And that's why I'm going to give this week's episode a 4 out of 5. Check it out, Ushio and Tora fans. But if any of you did watch this week's episode, why don't you tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below? What did you think of Ushio's rage this week? What did you think of the Hakumen no Mono destroying everything in its paths, and all of its tails transforming into the previously defeated monsters? And what do you want to see from the big finale of Ushio and Tora? You guys are so freaking kick-ass. Thank you for watching this review. I really appreciate it. If you would like to help support the channel, maybe smash that like button. Maybe share this video with some friends. Maybe you could subscribe to the channel. That way you'll see all of our latest anime and manga reviews. Not to mention our weekly podcast show, and you should check out all of our cool links in the description box below as well. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby.